Ooh, what's up, guys? Welcome to this edition of a Funko Popcast. I am DK Wrestler.
And I'm MD Shady.
And in today's podcast, it's a pretty interesting one compared to the ones that we do. You obviously see what's on the title because that's going to be the main part. But before we talk about that, of course, we are talking about the remaining pops of April 2023. We thought that April ended off on such a banger that we actually wanted to talk about it on a podcast. And then we'll be bringing back a segment that we haven't done since November because we thought it was going to be the end of it, but I guess not. And that is the update to update the top 10 list from, I guess I can mention 2 weeks ago, considering last week's podcast was our Return of the Jedi podcast. So thank you to everyone who had viewed / listened to that podcast. Great one to record to end off the original trilogy set of pops. So, and then after that, of course, as shown in the title, for the first time in either a long time or ever, we are talking about leaks on the podcast. More specifically, Funkoween 2023 leaks, which, I mean, if you're here for just the leaks, of course, there's a timestamp in the description below that will show you exactly where to listen to that part. But I mean, if you're new here, you want to take a listen to the entire podcast, we greatly appreciate that. Starting off with the first segment. So let's kick off with none other than talking about the remaining pops of April 2023. We have 2 days to go through only, which is April 26th and April 27th, or I should say the rest of April 26th, because we did talk about a few pops announced that day. But from what we didn't talk about, starting off April 26th is a blockbuster movie case, followed by 2 pops from Eggo waffles, which the first one is just a regular Eggo waffle, and then an Eggo waffle with syrup that'll be exclusive to Entertainment Earth. We got 2 pops for McDonald's, which we have a birthday Ronald McDonald and a new version of the Hamburglar, Voodoo Ranger. And then last but not least, for the ad icons, we have a retro Chuck E. Cheese. Then on April 27th, which was the final day of announcements for April, we have a set of Disney 100th anniversary pops, which we have ourselves a Disney Parks exclusive Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, Hannah Montana, and Walt Disney with Magazine, along with a set of pops for the upcoming live action movie of The Little Mermaid, which we have ourselves Ariel, which there's a regular one, and a Diamond Collection version exclusive to Target. And then the rest are common pops, being King Triton, Prince Eric, Ursula, and Ariel and Friends in a Pop Deluxe form. So let's kick off, first of all, with that blockbuster movie case. This is pretty interesting, not gonna lie. It's hard to really tell if it's like, okay, this is an ad icon or this is a foodies, because obviously you don't consume a movie case. But I would assume it's a part of the foodies lineup because of the fact that it's holding a bowl of popcorn. So that's pretty cool that we're actually getting like Funko merchandise for Blockbuster. I never thought that that would be a thing, considering that like technically Blockbuster, like they've been gone for so long, but they've kind of been making a comeback because of like the one and only Blockbuster in like Ohio or something that still exists. And then they did like that documentary recently. So I guess maybe that's how it's happening. And I don't know if maybe Blockbuster somehow is making a comeback. We don't exactly know, but it's still a pretty decent, unique foodies pop, even though generally foodies isn't entirely like everyone's favorite pops as terms to like ad icon related things. And then speaking of ad icons, and it's actually a part of the ad icons lineup as shown on the box, it is the Eggo waffles, which this is pretty interesting. Obviously, you have a waffle, it's holding a fork and a box of Eggos. And then I really like the difference between both the common and the exclusive one, even though it is the same molding, but I like the idea that they added syrup to it and that it is a scented pop. I think it's a pretty unique idea. I mean, if you're going to go for one or the other, I think the exclusive one is the way to go. And then we have the new McDonald's pops, and these are all right, I guess. I mean, we've had a ton of Ronald McDonald pops as it is already. This birthday one is not too bad. It's almost like the same molding as we've gotten the last few Ronald McDonald pops, except it's got the birthday hat and it's holding a present of some sort in his hand. And then we have Hamburglar. It's cool that we're getting another one. And then we have Voodoo Ranger, which is pretty decent. And it's pretty decent also because Voodoo Ranger is a type of alcohol, I believe, from what I did research. And especially the mascot here is looking pretty cool with like the one gold tooth within the skull there. I think that's pretty cool. And the yellow glasses and the green hat. I don't know too much because I don't drink alcohol, but this is a pretty decent and refreshing pop for the ad icons lineup. Who knows? Maybe we could get like, I don't know, Captain Morgan or something in the near future, since they're kind of dabbling into alcohol stuff now, especially because on the glam shot, it does say 21 plus, because that's the legal age for alcohol consumption in the States, even though here in Canada, it's 19 plus. And then last but not least, for the ad icon set here, it is the retro Chuck E. Cheese, which this is a pretty sweet pop. I mean, I think we've been wanting Chuck E. Cheese for a while, and I don't even remember from hearing from places or seeing people post about it if this was even a leaked pop. And if it was, I certainly didn't hear about it, so this was a bit of a surprise. I really like the detail. I mean, you got like the buck teeth going on, the classic purple color for Chuck E. Cheese. He's holding like I believe it's the coin when you play the games there. That's pretty sweet. So I'm glad that they actually made a pop for Chuck E. Cheese. And then we have the Disney 100th anniversary set, and we got ourselves Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, which is all right. I mean, it's just a like almost silver metallic form, except you do have blue shorts on. So I guess it's a little bit better than obviously, like, let's say the Hot Topic exclusive Corey Taylor that we talked about a few weeks ago on the pod, where it's just all silver. And then we have I almost said Vince McMahon. I wanted to say Vince McMahon. It looks like that's where I was going to segue to. The Walt Disney with Magazine, who looks like Vince McMahon in 2023 with that black mustache. Yeah, this Walt Disney isn't too bad. They've been pumping up a lot for the Disney 100th, especially with the train pop rides. And then last but not least for the set, Hannah Montana. I remember hearing about Hannah Montana a long time ago being a Funko Pop, but I just didn't know when it was happening. And I actually didn't expect it to be a part of the Disney 100th set. I thought it was going to be like its own set. We got like a Hannah Montana logo on the top of the box, but it does show it on like the bottom right of the box. I believe it shows Hannah Montana and then Disney 100. So that's pretty sweet. I mean, I think this actually, if I'm not mistaken, might be Miley Cyrus's first Funko Pop. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, seeing Hannah Montana is pretty interesting. And I think people were mentioning this is more near the ending of the Hannah Montana series with this outfit and everything. So that's pretty sweet. Hopefully we do get to see more pops from the Disney Channel, like mid 2000s when I used to watch it as a kid, like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Wizards of Waverly Place and stuff like that, possibly as pops in the near future. But that idea is looking a lot brighter after seeing Hannah Montana, which is a show that I did watch back in the day. So it's cool to see a pop of her. And then we have the Mickey Mouse Disco Pop, which I guess I actually forgot to mention while talking about these Disney 100 pops. The Mickey Mouse Disco Pop albums, which I think this is going to go a little bit in the same realm as we talked about with the South Park Deluxe albums. And we talked about it with the Star-Lord albums from a few weeks ago that was announced during that huge Day of Rocks reveal. So did this really need to be made? Not exactly, in my opinion. And then we have the live action Little Mermaid pops, and these are all right. I know that these are pops that have already been in stores weeks and weeks before this was announced, so people already knew about this, and especially that Diamond Collection exclusive hitting up Toys R Us here in Canada, so we knew about that. These are pretty decent, I guess, especially the King Triton. I think that may be the best pop besides the deluxe, even though the live action versions of like Sebastian and the animals just look so creepy.
Alrighty, so starting off with the Blockbuster movie case, this is pretty cool. It's nice to see some Blockbuster stuff, and I definitely think that, yeah, this is part of the Foodies. It is the same format that they use, and yeah, he is holding the popcorn. I do wish there might have been something else in his hand, like even just throw in like a non-branded like candy bar or something like that, and then I think this would have been just one step better, because when you think of Blockbuster, you go there, usually your parents tell you no to getting the food because it's so expensive and we have food at home, but I think it would just make a little bit more sense if there was something in his other hand as well. But this is pretty cool. I might end up getting this just for nostalgia reasons, though I'm not a huge fan of the Foodies. And speaking of Foodies, these Eggo waffles are definitely not ad icons. These are definitely Foodies. Again, it's the same format, so I don't care what the hell Funko slaps on the box. These are Foodies. This is not an ad icon. There's no way. But that being said, these aren't too bad. I like that you get the box of Eggo waffles, which I guess is kind of like a remold potentially with the one that you see in Eleven's hands in some of the Stranger Things pops. And then, of course, you have the exclusive one that is scented with the maple syrup, and that's pretty cool. cool. If I do end up getting one of these, it will be that one. Then we have a couple of new McDonald's Pops, and McDonald's Pops are some of my favorite things to collect, especially when it comes to ad icons. So starting off with the Ronald McDonald with the birthday outfit. This is decent. I don't think it's the greatest thing ever. We have seen quite a few Ronald McDonalds now, but a lot of kids definitely did spend their birthday or have gone to birthday parties at McDonald's. So this one actually kind of makes sense. Definitely going to add it to my collection. And then we have the new version of the Hamburglar, and this is pretty dang sweet. I think this is what the Hamburglar should have looked like when we got the original Pop. This is perfect. I love how he has the cape out, which you see multiple times when it comes to commercials or with like the few like home videos that they did. So yeah, this is awesome. Definitely getting both of these Pops. Then we have the Voodoo Ranger, and this is pretty sweet. The cans for Voodoo Ranger look so cool, and like the new Belgium brewing company. So I think that we could definitely get other versions of Voodoo Ranger, and this is just the first one. This looks sweet. I'm definitely going to have to get this. And yeah, it definitely does open up the opportunity for seeing something like Captain Morgan. And then the absolute ad icon himself, Chuck E. Cheese. This is awesome. We've been waiting so long to finally get a Chuck E. Cheese Pop, and they did not disappoint. This looks great. I like the outfit. I like how he has the coin. It doesn't look ridiculous by any means, so this is definitely going in my collection, and I really, really hope that we see the rest of the characters from Chuck E. Cheese restaurants because we need them. I really do think we need them. That'd be awesome if they made a 5-pack or a 6-pack or whatever of all of them and they're flocked. I think that would be really cool. And then we have new Pops for the Disney 100. Starting off with Oswald, that's okay. I mean, silver. The blue is a nice touch, but I don't think we really need silver Pops like this. And then we have Walt Disney himself, and that's a pretty cool Pop, but we have seen a ton of different Walt Disney Pops before. And then brand new, we have Hannah Montana. And originally, I wasn't too like thrilled with this Pop because it's not like what I would picture a Hannah Montana Pop to look like, but it does give the representation of Hannah Montana. Yeah, you can definitely tell it is like kind of farther into the series. And the microphone's there, so that's good. It doesn't just look like some random girl with blonde hair. And then we have the Mickey Mouse Disco, and this kind of does fall into line of like the South Park as well as the Star-Lord, but not really in my opinion. And the reason for that is I own this album. I see this album all the time when I'm skimming through old vinyl, and I feel like it's just a popular enough album, especially from back in like the 80s, let's say, that it does deserve a pop albums treatment. And they actually wrote Mickey Mouse Disco on the box. They didn't just write Mickey Mouse on there. So I don't know what Funko's doing, if it is just the Pop Deluxe albums or just the pop albums that are getting the weird names. Maybe they just made a mistake with the Star-Lord one, or maybe that's just what that album is called, but I don't know. I still hold a gripe over that. I think it's just ridiculous, but this pop album is really awesome, and I'll probably end up buying this considering it should go to our local GameStop at some point. And then lastly, we have the Pops for the Little Mermaid, and these are okay. Live action Pops always kind of turn out a little bit weird. We did see the Lion King Pops a few years back, but those were kind of cool because there was lots of detail with like, let's say the fur of the lions and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. This is weird. I probably will end up seeing this movie at some point, but I don't really think it's going to be the best movie ever. Though that deluxe is very interesting. I like how you get to see the water like on the base as well as the rock. And then yeah, like Sebastian and Flounder. It's super weird seeing them like that, but they might be cool in the movie, I guess. Once I actually watch the movie, my opinion might change on these Pops.
All right, so now we're going to move over to our segment, The Update. So for those that are new to the podcast, especially in 2023, since we haven't done the segment yet this year, basically, because we are now over and done with April 2023, we're giving these Pops a chance to make it to our top 10 list that we would have done a couple of weeks ago. So the entire list might change, some of it might change, but if, let's say, for example, your top 5 doesn't change, we're only mentioning the bottom 5 of the list. We're only mentioning up until where the newest Pop is. So I'll start off first, obviously, as this example. Starting off with number 10 on my list is the Entertainment Earth exclusive scented Eggo waffles with syrup. I really enjoy this Pop, even though, yes, it is listed as ad icons, but it does look like a Foodies. I had more of a personal reaction towards this to where I think it should have been in my top 10 list, unlike some of the Pops that would have been on the top 10 list last week, or the week before, I should say, but now are no longer on the list because of the Eggo waffles and some of the other Pops. Overall, this is still pretty decent, but 10 is a perfect spot. It shouldn't be any higher. Coming in at number 9 on my list is the Chalice Collectibles exclusive Hanami from Jujutsu Kaisen, which was originally number 7 on the list a few weeks ago. Then coming in at number 8 is the AAA anime exclusive Sage Mode Jiraiya from Naruto Shippuden, which was originally number 6 on the list. And then coming in at number 7 is a new pop, and that is the Hannah Montana for the Disney 100 set. This is pretty cool, and it's cool to see those Disney Channel characters that I used to watch as a kid finally be immortalized into pop form. Like I mentioned, hopefully we see more with like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Wizard of Waverly Place, maybe even That's So Raven possibly. That would be pretty sweet. I knew it had to be making it on the list at some point. Then coming in at number 6 on my list is the Amazon exclusive Mandalorian on N1 Starfighter Pop Rides, which was originally number 5. Then coming in at number 5 is the Funko Shop exclusive Lights and Sounds Optimus Prime from Transformers, which was originally number 4. And then coming in at number 4 is the Bad Motorfinger Soundgarden Pop Deluxe albums, which was originally number 3. And then coming in at number 3 and is the final pop I'm adding on to the list. So that means number 2 and number 1 on my list from the previous one will not be mentioned. You will have to tune in to that podcast from a few weeks ago to find out what my number 2 and 1 were. So coming in at number 3 is the retro Chuck E. Cheese for the Ad Icons lineup. I thought this was a awesome idea as terms to a Funko Pop. It's one of those ad icons that has been long overdue to be made into pop form, and now we have it here. It's awesome. I think it's going to sell pretty decently well.
All right, so now my list has definitely changed. So coming in at number 10, I have the Mickey Mouse Disco Pop albums. I think this is cool. I own the album in vinyl form, so I think it's only fitting that it'd be on my list because it is one of those pop albums that I do plan on adding to my collection. Coming in at number 9 on my list, I have the Voodoo Ranger. I think this is awesome. It has a lot of detail and it definitely does open up for other alcoholic beverages as well as just different versions of the Voodoo Ranger. So this is a really sweet pop that I will be buying multiple of. Coming in at number 8 on my list, I have the Disney 100 Hannah Montana. This is sweet. I would love to see an actual wave of Hannah Montana pops, but I think that this is a good start with a Hannah Montana that looks relatively like Hannah Montana. Coming in at number 7 on my list, which was originally number 5, the Lights and Sounds Optimus Prime. Yeah, that pop's pretty cool, but unfortunately it does have to go up on the list. Coming in at number 6, which I believe was originally number 4, is the Usher Pop. Coming in at number 5 is the new version of the Hamburglar. Like I said, I think this is the one that should have been made originally, but I am glad that we do have 2 versions now. I think that he's an awesome character for McDonald's, so I would like to see a couple versions of some of the other characters as well. Coming in at number 4 on my list, which I believe was number 3, is the pop albums for Bad by Michael Jackson. Coming in at number 3, which I believe was number 2, is the other Michael Jackson where he's leading from Smooth Criminal. Coming in at number 2 on my list, which originally was number 1, is the Indiana Jones Boulder Escape. And then last but not least, coming in at number 1 for the month of April is Chuck E. Cheese. This is awesome. The retro Chuck E. Cheese looks so cool. So excited. We waited so long for a Chuck E. Cheese pop, and I think it looks great. I don't really have any gripes about it besides wanting to see more. I want to see more characters, but I think that that will happen eventually, especially if this Chuck E. Cheese pop sells very well, which I think it's probably going to.
All right, so now we are finally at that moment. We're talking about leaks, which is pretty unique considering that if you know me very well, I hate talking about leaks. I hate the idea of leaks. I hate, why not just wait for the element of surprise? So I'm sure, and maybe MD will mention that he was probably surprised to hear that for a podcast that we were talking about leaks, especially Funkoween.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was funny because, yeah, you hate leaks and it's always, nope, it has to be announced to be talked about on the podcast. Either Funko has to post it or the company that the pop is for has to post it themselves or whatever. So it is definitely very surprising to hear that we are going to be doing leaks.
So I have 4 photos here. People may have heard these leaks from, I can't even read what that says. I think it's Pop News with 2 W's and an underscore at the end is who posted these. So I'm going to go in an order in which I'm not going to go them exactly the order that was listed, but this first one only has 2 things listed that I'll bring up first. So for Funkoween 2023 leaks, First off, we have a Pennywise dancing with glow-in-the-dark chase, which will be a specialty series exclusive, and then a Blacklight Pennywise 2017 that will also be an exclusive. And I will mention that I'm pretty sure I did predict a Blacklight Pennywise that's more current during our Funkoween predictions video.
Yeah, I believe you did predict that actually, and I'm excited to see that because I feel like that would look a lot better than the other Blacklight Pennywise that we've seen, because that wasn't the greatest. I mean, that whole pop is just not amazing. And then the dancing Pennywise, I think that could be interesting as well, but they're just okay.
So now going to the huge list, and I know exactly the order I'll do this. So first off will be Hocus Pocus 2 pops. So we got Gilbert with Candle, smoke versions of Mary, Winifred, and Sarah, and then Becca with accessories.
Okay, this is interesting. I have watched Hocus Pocus 2, so I know of all of those characters and exactly what these pops should look like, at least in my mind. So yeah, this is interesting. I think that they'll do pretty well because there's so many Hocus Pocus pops and they seem to sell because you never really see them too much in stores.
Next one is a set of pops that I actually did predict, and it was kind of one of those things that I'm going to predict, but even though I feel like it's already going to be confirmed without even looking at leaks, that's a Nightmare Before Christmas 30th anniversary set. So listed here, we have a deluxe of Jack and Zero with Tree, a new version of Jack, a new version of Sally, Zero with Candy Cane, Sally with Gravestone, Jack with Gravestone, Pumpkin King Jack, and it says Lab in quotations. And then we have deluxe pops of Jack with the Christmas tree door, and then Jack with the Halloween door. And then we have a Santa Jack with pink and red box that will also be an exclusive pop.
This is interesting. It makes sense to do like anniversary pops, but we have seen so many Nightmare Before Christmas pops that these better be bangers, or else I don't think they'll sell that well if they're not really, really good looking.
The next one listed here is a brand new pop of Eric Draven from The Crow.
Okay, that's pretty sweet, actually. I think that will probably look awesome. It's funny because I recently just seen pictures of The Crow. So, and like I haven't seen pictures of The Crow in such a long time that it's weird that now we're talking about it.
This next one is Werewolf by Night, which will be a set featuring Werewolf, Elsa, Jack Russell, and a 6-inch Man-Thing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be able to elaborate on this a little bit more, I think Werewolf by Night is that new, like, or not new, but it's newer, like, MCU short that they did on Disney Plus. The whole thing's in black and white. So I think it's involving with that, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, I have no clue about any of that, so I don't know. Maybe I'll have to check it out.
Next set of pops listed is for the movie adaptation of The Haunted Mansion. So it's going to be Madame Leota, Gus, Ben, Hatbox Ghost, Phineas, Kent, Harriet, the Professor, and then says Harriet again for some reason, not even like a different version. So that might have been a mix up on whoever made this. And then Ezra. So it says Haunted Mansion movie. So I wonder if they're meaning like the 2003 movie with Eddie Murphy in it.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Like, there's not many other movies that scream Halloween like Haunted Mansion either. So I'm really excited to see this set. And hopefully it is the Eddie Murphy one and that we get some really cool looking pops out of this.
Then we have a new set of Killer Clowns from Outer Space that's listed here, which has Baby Clown, Fatso, and an exclusive pop of Bibbo. I haven't actually seen Killer Clowns, so I wouldn't even really know how to react. Like, oh, I can't believe we're getting a baby clown, because I don't really know what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, but they seem to be killing it with the, no pun intended, the Killer Clowns. So I'm excited to see what these look like, and I know that there are a pretty decent fan base for Killer Clowns, and the pops that we're getting have been awesome with the blacklight stuff and the normal stuff. So getting some new characters is definitely an improvement to the lineup.
And then last but not least, I wanted to say for this photo I'm looking at is a Halloween wave of McDonald's pops. So we got a Nugget Witch, a Nugget Vampire, a Nugget Mummy, and then it's listed as Hamburglar, which I wonder if it's the one that we just talked about, or it's just a whole different one and we'll get our third Hamburglar, Professor, and then a Pop Town of Ronald McDonald with the McDonald's restaurant.
This is insane. I love the Nuggets pop, so it's cool to see that we're going to be getting some of those other ones like the Vampire and the Witch. I remember having those as a kid, so that's super awesome. Another new Hamburglar would be really cool. Hopefully it's not like just the same. I think it could be something to do with Halloween. I believe that there was a Halloween costume that he wore in some commercial or something, but I can't exactly draw the memory out of my brain right now. And then McDonald's with Ronald. That's the only other Ronald that I really want to see that makes sense. And I'm really hoping, really hoping, and it's got to be the vintage, I guess you could say at this point, looking McDonald's and not the piece of McDonald's buildings that we have now. Pardon my language, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but it's McDonald's, man. It's got to be this.
All right, so now looking at the third photo here, the first set that's listed says AOT, which I assume is Attack on Titan. So we have an Aaron meets Reiner Moments, a 6-inch Warhammer Titan, and then another version of that, but it's going to be glow in the dark. Orko Gillard, which is a exclusive. Annie and Crystal as a deluxe, also an exclusive. 6-inch Jaw Titan, a 10-inch Aaron Founding Titan, a 6-inch Armin Colossal Titan, and then there's pops listed as Sasha, Aaron Yager, Casa, Armin Arlet with Chase. I don't know too much about Attack on Titan, but I know that especially last year's set from Funkoween was a huge banger set as terms to detail. So hopefully this either lives up to that expectation or exceeds it.
Yeah, I think it could be really cool to get some new Attack on Titan. I haven't watched it or anything, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But pop-wise, we've seen a lot of really cool stuff, and it was awesome to see some more newer pops just a few months ago, I believe. So getting another wave would be very cool, especially for big fans of the show.
Now, this next one's pretty interesting. It's a set of Lucifer pops. So we got Amendiel with wings, Lucifer Morningstar with a chase, and then Mazakine with weapons. I've heard of Lucifer. I haven't seen the show, but I know a lot of people have been wanting pops of Lucifer for a really long time.
Yeah, I believe I seen like some kind of leak not too long ago, maybe with pictures of the pops. I can't remember. But I have watched some of it, at least the first season. I can't remember if I've watched any more than that. But I enjoyed the show. I heard there has been some mixed reviews because I believe they changed the main actor by like season 3 or 4 or 5, something like that. So people were kind of upset about that. So I'm wondering if the pops that we're going to see will be the original actor or the newer actor. I don't know exactly, but I do think these pops will look cool. And maybe it will inspire me to finish watching Lucifer because what I seen of it, I did enjoy.
Then we have listed some quote unquote DVD covers. It's not VHS, it's not movies, it says DVD, and they're for the movies Us and Get Out, which I believe are horror movies.
Yeah, this could definitely be interesting. These two movies, I don't really care for too much. I haven't watched them. I don't really watch horror movies that much. But I do think that DVD covers could be really cool because let's say if a brand new movie comes out or something like that and they want to do a cover for it, you can't really call it a VHS cover because it wouldn't be on VHS technically. So this could definitely be very interesting. I'm excited to see what pops they decide to use for these covers.
Then we have a set of pops for, it's called Nope, which once again must have been a movie because there is a DVD cover, OJ Haywood, Ricky Park, and Emerald Haywood.
Yeah, I definitely kind of know of Nope. I believe a few of my coworkers went and seen it and they were talking about it a while back. This can be interesting. I don't know. I don't really know anything about the movie though.
Then we have a couple of new pops for the Netflix series Wednesday, which the characters listed as Bianca and Enid, I think it says. I haven't seen Wednesday yet, but I know you have.
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch it. It's real good. I'm excited to see what these pops look like. I was actually going to buy a Wednesday pop at the most recent toy show that me and DK were at. And by the time I went to go pick it up, it was actually already sold. So I was like, okay, that kind of sucks because I kind of did want it. I believe it was like the Hot Topic exclusive Wednesday. So it's cool to see more characters. There's quite a few characters in Wednesday, so I think that there's a bunch of different versions as well as some different characters that could be done, and maybe some cool like 6-inch or like deluxe pops for this series. So I would definitely like to see them expand their pops.
Next thing listed is a movie posters for E.T. Now, this one's a little bit interesting because, I mean, technically, when you think of the movie poster, it's E.T. flying over the moon. They already did deluxe pop, and they can't do like a singular pop of like, let's say, Elliot on the bike with E.T. in there because they also did that already as the pop. So what do you do for a movie poster? But this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like a variant movie poster because I think there was more than one. Let me look it up real quick and see. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really only seeing. Well, yeah, okay. There is 2 different covers. I thought so. There is the one with the moon, and then there's the one with like their hands with their fingertips kind of touching, and then there's also one with their hands with their fingertips touching with the moon as well with the bike. So I wonder which one they go with and what they do. I don't know. Maybe they do an Elliot and ET in the bike, but have it just all black, kind of like how you see it, like going over the moon in the cover. I think that's kind of maybe the best way. Though it's a little lackluster. I mean, you don't just want a one-colored pop, but in my opinion, that would make sense to do it that way.
This next set is actually something we kind of crapped on Funko a couple weeks ago for not making more pops up, but we got here. It's a new wave of Slipknot pops. So one's listed as Slipknot itself. So I wonder if that means that's going to be like an albums, but they don't want to mention which album it is. Then we got Jim Root, V-Man, Jay Weinberg, Mick Thompson, and then Clown listed there. This is interesting. Yes, we're getting more Slipknot pops, or hopefully getting more Slipknot pops. That's awesome, especially Mick Thompson, who was one of the founders of Slipknot with Corey Taylor. And unfortunately, I believe passed away in 2010, and he was the bass player. So this is going to be interesting. I'm going to love seeing these new Slipknot pops if that's the case, especially because there's so many band members, like I mentioned when we talked about that silver metallic Corey Taylor. So sweet that we're actually getting more Slipknot pops, or at least hopefully we're getting more Slipknot pops.
Yeah, it would be really cool to see some more Slipknot pops. Obviously, we did talk about wanting more. I just hope that now that we're getting more, we don't see like 5 packs or something like that, especially if they do want to do like silver versions of like a 5 pack of them. I think that would just be ridiculous. Hopefully, we just get a few really good Slipknot pops, and an album cover would be sweet as well.
Next up listed is Rob Zombie. So we already have a Rob Zombie pop as 2 more. One's listed as Rob Zombie by itself, and then Rob Zombie, Dracula, right in brackets. So it's probably going to commemorate Dracula. That sounds pretty cool so far.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get the Dracula like pop albums, or even a pop rides of Rob Zombie in the Dracula, I think that that would be really, really cool. Definitely a couple pops that I'll probably end up picking up.
And then the last set of pops here for this photo that I'm looking at is a new set of Dia de los Muertes pops. So if you remember the DC Comics ones that did, this time it's Star Wars. So we got Boba Fett, R2-D2, C-3PO, Stormtrooper, a 10-inch Darth Vader, a regular Darth Vader, Stormtrooper, a glow-in-the-dark Yoda that will be an exclusive, a glow-in-the-dark Darth Vader that's going to be an exclusive, and then listed here, you literally just talked about it, a 4-pack glow that will be exclusive to Amazon, which I'm going to assume that it's probably going to be 4 of the commons slapped into the 4-pack, and then one of them's going to only glow, and then a Stormtrooper Dia de los, but it's going to be a Pop and Tea bundle.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I definitely see this as something that's going to happen, and I think it's a good idea. I think that these could look really cool. I don't think we need a 4-pack or anything like that, but I do think these pops will be sweet, and I'll probably have to keep my eye out for the Boba Fett's, considering one of my coworkers' husbands will probably want that pop because he collects basically just Boba Fett stuff.
And then on the last page of these reveals I'm looking at, or leaks, JJK Wave 2, which I'm assuming that's going to be Jujutsu Kaisen. And oh god, I can't even pronounce barely any of these names. It says a Flocked Panda exclusive for one of them. And then I actually do recognize it does say Hanami and then Toto as exclusives, which I believe are the pops we just talked about a couple of weeks ago. So those are going to be technically re-announcements at that point. And then there's some other characters, but it doesn't sound too bad, but might be the least hype out of the anime ones I've heard thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know anything about Jujutsu Kaisen. The pops generally don't look bad. It's interesting. I guess we'll see, and hopefully they are a couple like re-announcements, because I think that some of these anime lineups just don't need to have a crazy amount of pops.
Then it looks like we're going to be possibly getting a new wave of Castlevania pops, which we got Hector, Isaac, Lenore, and Carmilla. I remember there being Castlevania pops when New York Toy Fair was still a thing with Funko, and that was like 4 years ago at this point. So getting more Castlevania pops, I guess that's all right. I haven't even seen Castlevania, so I can't really say much about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume this is the like Netflix show and not the video games.
Yeah, I think that's what it was based off of originally with the pops. Then we got 7 Deadly Sins, which I believe is an anime. Melida, oh my god, I can't even pronounce that. But then we got Elizabeth, King, and then Ban. I don't know. At first, when I read this, I thought it was like 7, like the movie, like, what's in the box? But then I read 7 Deadly Sins, which I knew from people I've heard about. It's an anime.
Yeah, it definitely is. I haven't seen that one either, so I don't know any of these characters, but I don't think we've seen pops for 7 Deadly Sins, so I think that should end up being decent.
Wave 3 of Demon Slayer. So we got Sasamoru with Chase, Sabito No Mask, Training Tanjiro, Tamaya, some names that I still can't pronounce. Oh god, there's a huge Nezuko in Web Glow, which is going to be exclusive and a deluxe. Nezuko Kneeling, Bano Iguru exclusive, and then Shinobu Funko exclusive, which that might be a pop that might have been re-announced, that Funko exclusive. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, it seems ridiculous that we're only on Wave 3 of Demon Slayer when it feels like there's so many pops that have been announced, especially with some characters having multiple different versions in Funko Pop form. But the Demon Slayer pops always look really, really good, so I expect nothing less than that with these pops.
This one you're definitely going to be excited about. It's an exclusive pop, an actual pop rides of Fred in the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo.
Okay, great. uh this is good. Yeah, I definitely want to get that. Actually, me and DK both recently saw at our local GameStop the Bugs Bunny in the Mystery Machine, but unfortunately, like the logo, like emblem at the front of the Mystery Machine was actually popped off, so I ended up passing on it. But yeah, getting a Fred in the Mystery Machine is awesome, and it would be actually nice if we could see maybe a few more Scooby-Doo pops, but maybe that's just wishful thinking.
Next up, I feel like, I don't know why, I think maybe you might have predicted this. I can't exactly remember, but I thought you mentioned something along this line. It's Blacklight Universal Monsters, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, and Dracula.
Yeah, I might have predicted that last year. Maybe it was. I don't remember. But this is cool. I mean, this is what I wanted. I wanted to see some Universal monsters in blacklight form because they should absolutely kill it with these. They should look wicked.
This one is a re-announcement, but there are some new things added to it. It's that wave 2 of Trios of Horror we got last year. So still listed here, 6-inch Spider Willy, Snail Lisa, Skeleton Marge, Zombie Homer, which sounds new and it's glow in the dark. I don't remember a Zombie Homer being announced, or maybe it was, but I just don't remember. Homerzilla, I remember, and then Witch Maggie, the glow-in-the-dark Witch Maggie, which was announced as Amazon, Itchy and Scratchy Skeleton, like singular 2-pack, Twin Bart, or it is listed as Hugo Simpson now. But also listed here, that's a little newer, they're doing mini moments, and they all have chases of Homer, Bart, Lisa, Maggie, and Marge.
Mini moments are the like the Seinfeld and the Office sets, right? That we have seen.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. I'm assuming they won't be Trios of Horror. It'll just be the house or like the couch or whatever, the living room. So that's really awesome. I'll probably end up buying those. And yeah, I'm so excited for this new Treehouse of Horror wave. Hopefully it ends up coming around this Halloween season because we still haven't seen it and it's been announced for a while now.
All right, okay. That one I'm going to leave till last because you might be excited of all the announcements for this. So Funko Soda's listed here. So there's only 3 of them listed on this list specifically. It's Ezra, which I believe is the character from Haunted Mansion, the Nun, and then Velma, which I assumed would be obviously Scooby-Doo Velma.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome because we haven't seen a lot of characters that we want to see from Scooby-Doo. We did get the 6-pack, but a lot of that was just like the 4 different quote-unquote villains and then Scooby and Shaggy. So yeah, Velma would be awesome to see in Funko Soda form.
And then last but not least, this one you might be excited out of all the announcements that we talked about. It's a new set of Stranger Things pops. Henry 001, so obviously Henry Creel. Finale 11 with Chase. Hunter Nancy with Shotgun. Hunter Robin with Cocktail. Hunter Eddie with Guitar. Hunter Dustin with Shield. And then a pop town of Vecna with the Creel House. Jonathan with the Golf Club. And then last but not least, Max at Cemetery Moments. And it's going to be an exclusive.
Great. This is awesome. Yeah. Always room for more Stranger Things pops. And I think people have really been anticipating for the Max at the Cemetery because what a crazy scene. And I think that it'll look pretty cool, especially if she is floating. I wonder like how far off of the base she'll be floating if they do it properly. I don't know. But yeah, all those pops sound very great to add to my collection and super, super excited about that.
Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of this edition of a Funko Popcast. If you enjoyed this special edition where we actually talked about leaks, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hope to see you guys on the next edition of a Funko Popcast. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.
Robble, robble. Peace in, peace out.